Okay. So what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the perfect Dark Age guide and basically how to get the best Dark Age possible in every game. This is the second video in a series, advanced guide series. The first one we did was about building, scanning, and scouting, and this one will be about the Dark Age. So here are the 6 steps that I narrowed it down to, and these steps are kind of in order of what happens in the Dark Age. And yeah, we're going to go through them, and then I'm going to do a demonstration Dark Age as well. So the first step is to keep your TC producing and villages working. This is, in my opinion, the most important step because keeping your TC producing means you'll have a really good uptime to the feudal age, and your villages working means you'll have the most resources gathered as possible. Second step is how to scout your map. I'm going to show you guys where to scout first and how to, scout pattern to find your resources fast enough. Third one is villager efficiency. There's a lot of tricks you could do with your villagers, and I'm going to go through that. That one's best understood if I show it to you. Fourth is the born sheep micro. It's kind of with villager efficiency, but I made it like a second point. Fifth is learning deers. Now this is optional because you don't always get deers, but it could really help if you do. And sixth is where to place buildings. So if you're not sure what's going on with these points, I'm gonna just break it down for you guys, and then I'll show you a Dark Age guide from start to finish. So for the first one, it's the TC production and villager working. So when you start Dark Age, this is how it's gonna look like. And the first thing you want to do is jump to your TC right away and make 4 vills. That way you can have no idle time, and you're gonna ensure the best possible time for feudal age, basically. For villagers working, the best thing you can do is never have them walking around. So when you drop 2 houses, drop them rather close to your TC to reduce the walking distance of your villagers. Alright, and then when your sheep finishes, you don't want them to just wait around. You want to go to the next sheep right away. And also on the wood lines, here, let me just... Oh, I can't. I have to scout, actually. I wanted to use cheat code there, but I couldn't. Let me just got a wood line here real quick. You want to place your lumber camp in the middle of the wood as possible to reduce walking time for the villagers. So basically you never want your villas idle, and you always want them to be walking around and gathering resources. So for the next tip, it's how to scout your map. So notice that I didn't use my sheep to scout, and I have very little scouting information. Well, now let me get some sheep and let's see how much faster my exploration will be. Okay, let's get these guys working. Now, don't worry about the build order for now. It's not correct. So what you want to do is, with your starting sheep, you want to find 2 sheep and send them to the TC, and with the other 2, you want to scout around and just scout. You can number your sheep to be able to jump around to them, or you can just move back and forth between them. Now, how you want to scout is actually in an arc. So you never want to scout straight lines, but rather arc your scout around your TC, and same with the sheep. Notice I'm not scouting a straight line and then down, I'm going in an arc. And that's the best way to do it. Alright? Just keep going around your base, and that way look at how much scouting I've gone in like a minute of in-game time. Like so. And that's pretty much it. You go around until you find all your resources. Okay. So next tip, boar and sheep micro. So let me get a goat here to show you guys what I mean by this. Alright, it's almost done, so that's perfect. The boar's coming, the goat's coming. Alright, so when your goat finishes, a lot of times people leave it. What we want to do is click to the next sheep right away. And that way your vills don't just stand around there idle for a little bit until they find the next sheep on their own. Now this seems like a small detail. Oh, he lamed my goat. But it actually makes a big difference. So that's your sheep micro. At the end of every sheep, you want to take it off that sheep and click on the other sheep. It saves you a lot of time and lets you get more resources gathered. So now for the boar micro, I'm gonna go get one here. Now there's a few things you could do with your boars. So normally you want to hit it twice, as most of you guys would do it, but what you could do is actually hit it once and then run away and hit it again. Similar how you see how they stopped there because I didn't tell them to go to the next one. That's the idle time I'm talking about. But yeah, so if the board's a bit further, you can actually micro the village like that. And it's similar how you micro archers in a regular game. Then when you get to the TC, garrison the HP and ungarrison onto the board. and it's that simple. So if your boar is far, you don't always have to loom. You could do that trick and you'll be in a good position. So for the next boar, I'm going to show you how to block the boar. This is again if your boar is far and you don't want to do loom, because you never want to do loom early in Dark Age. Alright, so you hit the boar, hit it twice, run, and then you could use your scout to block the boar, and that way your villager would never take a hit. There you go. Don't let it go too far or else it's going to run back. But you get the gist of it. Again, we're going to attack the boar, garrison, go back, and it's dead. So that's pretty much it with the boar micro. Just the whole point of it is just so you guys never do loom or avoid doing loom as much as possible. Next tip is luring deers. So this is pretty straightforward. These guys are quite far away, but it's still possible. You want to move your scout behind them and push them like so. Keep moving behind them, and eventually you're gonna get to your TC. Now this is not mandatory because you never can guarantee that you're gonna have good deer, but it's definitely a good food boost, and especially if you're going scouts, it helps with production. There we go. And there it is. So the deer's in, and you can just continue repeating that. It takes about 30 seconds a deer, and you don't have to lure all of them. You can just lure one, and you'll be fine like that. So for the next tip, it's where to place your buildings. All right, so this one's a bit more complex, I guess, because it's kind of hard to explain, and it comes more with practice. So the easiest way to explain it is you want to reduce your villager walking time as much as possible. So let's say I want to get this wall done, and I also want to get a lumber camp, let's say here on this wood. Well, the best thing I could do is actually send a villager and wall starting on this side there, and then walk back to make my lumber camp. So the same villager is going to do both of it, starting from this side. Because if I start from this side, I'm going to walk, and then walk all the way back, and then if I go to TC, I'll have to walk back to my lumber camp. But if you let the same villager do it, it's going to reduce walking time, and you're going to get more resources gathered. Another thing is, for example, houses. So right now I'm housed. I need to put a house, and I also want to get, let's say, another villager on wood. So instead of making my house here and then walking to my wood line, what I could do instead is just make my house closer to my wood line, and therefore I reduce the walking time. Okay, let me think if there's anything else to cover. Yeah, alright, so next thing is more with villager efficiency. So on your lumber camps, you want to have this set up, so 2 villas on each side, or 1 villa and 2 villas on each side. Because if you have all 4 villas on the same side, look what happens. So before they weren't bumping, everything was fine. And let's watch them. I'm gonna, in the meantime, make my mill. No, go on that side. Let's say they're all 4 chopped in the same tree. Look at the bumpage that's happening here. Look how inefficient that is. Now it seems like I'm nitpicking and this is just a small thing, but this actually adds up quite a bit. So just make sure you're all on separate sides of the lumber cap so your villas don't bump. Same thing with the berries. You want equal amounts on each side. Usually it's 4 on berries total, so 2 on each side works. I'm just going to show you how it looks like that. So 1 villa on each berry basically. And look, the wood works so much nicer if it's separate side. Same with the berries. But if they're all on the same side, notice how that villager, it deposited and didn't even move. But if it's on the same side, look what happens. I'm just gonna wait for them to gather the 10 food. He's walking around, bumping a bit on each other. This one's fine, but later on, as you get to feudal and these start to run out, they're gonna start bumping on each other if they're near if they're all on the same side. So that's pretty much it for all these 6 tips. Now I'm gonna run a Dark Age from the start. I could use the same game, or I could start a new one, but let's just, oh no, I can't. Okay, so let's quit, and we're gonna launch a new game, and I'm gonna do a 20 pop scout build order with a civ with no eco bonuses, and I'll show you guys how it looks like. And I'm gonna highlight all these 6 points. All right. Now these points are all really small, but if you've done all together, they actually add up and they give you a clean start to every game. Okay, so it's going to be a 20 pop scout builder, one of the most aggressive openings you can get, and it's going to be done with Saracens, a civ with no eco bonus, so that it's going to be basically the generic version of it. We're going to take a look at how many resources I have, and at the time I click up. Oh, whoops. Alright. So remember, first step, it's villager production, keeping your TC going, and keeping your vills working. So the first thing I'm going to do, spam vills, 4 vills done, and my TC is running. So the next step here is to scout with the sheep. Like I said, you want to send 2 goats to your TC and scout around with 2 others. Okay, keep your vills working, like I said, most important. Okay. So now I have to scout in an arc. I'm sending my goats around. Also, another quick tip that I forgot to mention is you want to scout the front of your base first, if possible, to avoid laming. If you find any new goats, you can scout with those as well. So it's gonna get quite hectic now, but if you can manage the speed, it's really quite simple. Just scout in arcs with all your sheep and your scouts. And eventually, look how fast the map's getting scouted. Alright, now I've got 6 on sheep. Now I'm gonna move on to wood. Now for most of you beginner players, you're mostly familiar with like 22 pop scouts or 21 pop scouts, but 20 pop scouts is way sharper, so you have to really execute a really good Dark Age to get a good timing and be able to produce scouts afterwards. So once you find everything, you're looking for 8 goats. Here, notice I'm passing on the vills onto the goats, really important. Alright, once you found your 8 goats and you're both boars, now you can start luring your deer. So I'm going to send my scout over there. Keep your vills working. Notice I'm taking my closest wood line. This one's kind of poor here to reduce walking time. I need to mill these berries, so I'm going to make my house close to the berries to reduce walking time. So again, these are just all the points mixed up. Again, passing the sheep. I'm going to go for a boar layer soon. Gonna learn some deer as well. Okay. Again, no idle time basically. Take the deer. Alright, all is good. And you want to get your boar dead in the center of your TC. If possible. It's not always possible, but if you can, it's always better. And now you can drop your mill. If you're luring deer, also drop a few extra vills to do your hunt instead of going straight to the berries, so you can make use of the deer early on. It helps you like click up with no idle time. Again, making sure my vills are constantly being produced. Usually there shouldn't be any idle time in your TC. And that's how you know you've gotten a good start. And you're going to see by my time at the end what that looks like. So again, force drop your food, make the vill. It's really quite simple once you get the hang of it. And there we go. Deers. I only lured 2, just to show that you don't have to lure all 3 of them every game. And now I'm gonna go scout my opponent. Second boar coming in. So far so good. Now I don't need another house since I'm doing 20 pop-up. Oh, whoops, misclicked there a little bit, but it's fine. Boar is dying rather in the center of my TC. You can start sending some over to berries now. So I'm going to send my next 2 over to berries and I'll be ready to click up. Notice how my wood, everyone's chopping on their own. Everyone's happy. Same with my berries. Okay. Alright, so another trick, when vills are here, I'm not going to click the boar right away. I'm going to put them in the TC and then ungarrison them and then put them out. And that reduces walking time. So it's just small things like that that you can do in your gameplay. Now this villager loom, and I'm gonna click up afterwards, and I can almost guarantee that when I force drop these guys, I'm gonna have the 500 food because I've done a pretty much perfect Dark Age here. Okay, so again, let's force drop, and there we go. So I'm gonna pause it here. I clicked up to feudal age at 709, and I had 565 food when I force dropped everything, and 225 wood. So if you mimic this time in your games, you know you're doing a good job. 20 pop up, this is pretty much the perfect time. And even if you're 20 seconds off or a few resources off, you're still doing, you know, a pretty good start. And if you're able to do this consistently, then you know you've got your Dark Age down, and you can start focusing on different aspects of the game. So that's pretty much it. I could let this play out, but nothing really much will happen. As soon as you click Feudal Age, you want to make sure you have 2 lumber camps. I like to have on different woodlands, but this woodland's not so hot, so I'm gonna go over here, keep those working. Nothing changes here. And you want to go make a house and a barracks now. So for your barracks, you want to make it in front of your eco, just to get as much vision as possible. But you don't want to make it too far either. So right here, in front of my woodline seems like a good place to do it. I like to start with 2 lumber camps and about 4 on each, or you can do 5 on one and 4 on the other. Doesn't really matter. As long as you have 2 lumber camps, you're doing it fine. And drop my barracks after that house. If you drop your barracks around 60 with 1 villager, it's going to be ready by the time you hit Feudal Age. Everyone's working. It's good. And you want to make your barracks, or your stable rather, with 2 villas. So I'm going to send another one right now. Alright. And if I have enough wood for stable, as soon as I hit up, then I know I did a perfect start. Pause. Well, one more. There we go. I have at 920. So as soon as I clicked up, I had enough food. I had enough wood for stable, and I had 300 food. Make that 450 food because I queued up 3 vills. So the times you need to remember: 7 minutes and 10 seconds was when I clicked feudal, and I had 565 food, 225 wood. And then when I hit Feudal Age at 920, I had 175 around wood and 450 food. So now you drop your stable, and you're in the Feudal Age. You can play how you want, make some scouts, transition into walls and castle, or go for archers. The choice is yours. You've done a really good Dark Age, so you're going to already have some advantage over your opponent if he didn't perform a good Dark Age as well. So that's it for this guide. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.